introduce yourself to the class.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Chet. I'm a 6th-year senior. I don't know, I work up the mountain at Squallywood. Just hanging out here today. I guess I'm supposed to talk about some giant marijuana case in the U.S. Oh, no, it's Nevada, that's it. Medical marijuana has been blowing up over Nevada as recent legislation is passed. As 53% of voters wanted marijuana legalized on question 2 of the ballot last year. One of the big cases to come from this case that the city of Sparks against the Reno newspaper. Really? Alright. Their want for the names of the business owners of a local dispensary was only to please the soccer mom who still reads the paper. I don't know who reads the paper anymore. This info would be out of the public of the scary people who sell drugs completely legally. They're not that scary. The newspaper was really just trying to expose these dope dudes at the dispensary and only hurt their reputation in the community where they're all trying to do is just run a business is pretty much it. The new paper was mad that I guess the city of Sparks redacted the identities from the business licenses. They filed a writ of mandamums, which was basically a petition that said, yo, as a government officials, you need to do your job and give us that info. Man, there's so many moving parts in this case as the owners have a right to run businesses without their names being released to the public. But some citizens, or I guess you could say just mostly soccer moms, think that everyone should be afraid of the terrible people. This case also, I guess, was hard to analyze because it conflicts hella with the state government laws. State and government laws. When both have opposite views of legal weed. So let's first talk about the history of weed. In Nevada, weed is now being used medicinally all over the state. Weed was first outlawed in Nevada Constitution in 1923 as the nation was prohibiting drugs at that time. Since then, that has been up to debate on many times in 1998 and 2000 as people voted on it to be used and treat illnesses and only for medical purposes, which passed and was allowed. Then in 2002 and 2006, people over 21 were up for question, which would allow recreational taxation on weed so no one would be prosecuted by law. This was a bummer because we were so close as to 10 years ago from having it the way that it is today. So the recession hit in 2008. It hit hella hard, I remember that shit. On most of the occasions in Nevada as gambling and going downtown was really at a low point, they then started to see that taxing weed can make the state around $7 million. Damn. Nevada political bros still moved on with trying to pass it for over people that were over 21. And on July 1st in 2017, we got that shit legalized. In Nevada, of course, not the US. Building up dispensaries just made some sense to accommodate for the large amount of buyers available. So even though some states are down with weed, the feds still think that these MMEs, well, medical dispensaries, what people know, could be a money laundering. So most banks won't allow MMEs to even deal with them. This leads to a lot of cash being held in the business, which can be, I don't know, kind of a really bad security issue, I guess. With so much cash on these business owners, it needed to be redacted from the license so there's no target on the back of the owners up for theft. So the newspaper company went down to the city of Sparks office and was asking all these questions, and trying to get into the license of the owners who are allowed to operate in Reno and, help de-stress the soccer moms because, they need some weed. So the city of Sparks office was like, alright bro, here's your copy of the licenses, but we have no names on them because we're allowed to, under laws specifically, Nevada Man Code, 4538714 or something like that. This chick editor at Reno Gazette Journal, I don't even know, who even reads the newspaper, seriously. Kellyanne Scott made matter worse and got the citizens all upset to, not have transparency with the government. This lady was crazy, saying stuff about how these owners put up, the public at risk. I think they better don't, to be honest. And how Clark County released records for all the 18 dispensaries that approved and blah, blah, blah. How these people aren't even sketchy without us knowing their names. Then our boy, the second greatest lawyer ever, Doug Thornley, comes in and contest Kellyanne by saying, yo, when are you going to give me out their names? You're making them targets. The security measures that are by law required at facilities are far more than would be taken at home. Like, just say mind your own business. Weed isn't that sketchy. So at this point, it's about to go down. The Reno newspaper filed a writ of mandamus that would require the city of Sparks to disclose any redacted information. So the district court was like, okay, yeah, go ahead and do that. And this was all saying that under the, admin code 43A blah blah 714, which covers confidential provision, business owners of MMEs were not exempt. So then the homies at over at the city of Sparks were like, no way, you can't do this to us. We're about to go appeal your ass. So we say the writ of mandamus is not chill and seeking the judicial relief after challenging the admin code. That this code does protect our boys, they are our boys, we've been growing for a while, and the dispensers' names who are trying to sell marijuana. So one controversial issue has been whether or not the owners of these businesses need to release their identities to the public. The district court, on the other hand, said, yeah, the city totally needs to disclose the owner's identity under Nevada Public Records Act. So this act was not chill and really said that the public has the right to review who operates these establishments to make them, make sure they're not criminals or involved with money laundering due to the fact that MMEs aren't categorized as public service providers. So the district court, decision was totally with the Reno newspaper saying that the public can get those names. Then, this is a flip side right here. Then the Supreme Court of Nevada stepped in and said, wait, under the code NRS 2390115, these guys are protected as the code says. You can go this route to obtain their info, but you have to chill out or so for about 30 years of the government having these records. They can't just give out their names until the person dies or 30 years of holding the documents, whichever comes first. And with the MMEs just being introduced into Nevada, there's no chance that one has been around for 30 years already. Then another code came down on this district court's ruling saying under NRS 4358370, there's hella rules that keep these operation owners safe without limitation, which allows them to stay safe from theft, with letters of approval to keep their names confidential. The Supreme Court judge was, he was hella right and stuck down the decision made by the district judge. So, to me, let's go Stoners. This case was ruled correctly. As the Division of Public and Behavioral Health of the Department of Health and Human Services already governed the MMEs, make sure that the owners aren't, a threat to society. They regulate them hard to make sure safety, security, and the general well-being of the public is all good. With this being said, the identities of such owners don't need to be in public for the soccer moms to see. With all this being said, the case ended up that the Supreme Court judge said, the writ of mandamus was okay to file and that procedurally proper names for seeking the disclosure of public records. So under the NAC 453A714, MME license holders have the right to have their names redacted because the division is bound to keep the confidentiality of these licensed owners disclosed. So RGJ still fought as they argued that the statement as far as possible while maintaining accountability presented under the NRS 435A370 was ambiguous in nature and had no standards of accountability in regards to the disclosure of services. This is Chet. Smoke on.
So this case really dealt with the split of powers between the Nevada Supreme Court and the District Court of Nevada and how they collided in a controversial topic that is illegal federally, but state level it is not. It also dealt with writ of mandamus and business license and how the business license have to deal with retracted information and knowledge of the public knowing, and writ of mandamus being able to access that information. In short, this was a very critical case that brought some new issues to light regarding medical marijuana and how the businesses wanted to disclose personal information. While the public wanted transparency, there was also an aspect of confidentiality for the business owners that the state ruled to uphold. The Nevada Supreme Court decided that under NAC 453A714, the identities of the licensed owners should remain undisclosed, overruling the lower court's conclusion of releasing the identity info. The decision reflects government support of medical marijuana industry and its protection.